All right. How's everyone doing? How is everyone doing? Hopefully well. Hopefully well. Hopefully well. You know what? I don't. Oh no. You know what I didn't do? I didn't change our titles. I didn't change our I'm updating titles right now. All right. Titles updated. Chat available. We are now ready to cover the news. I hope everybody's ready for a little bit of news. We got some exciting. This was kind of a slower week. I'm not gonna lie. Not as much exciting went on. As you know, sometimes it's a little bit more filled, a little more drama. So let's jump into it. All right, Scott B, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. We'll try to jump into it. So we got some things. I got some things for us to talk about with security. I got some interesting things about open source that we're going to cover. And then we'll jump into artificial intelligence and cloud news, which there's probably the most in those sections. But before we do, let's start with what's probably the most important to us. Let's start with what's most important. The last Sunday news stream, part 2. So next week, the most important thing is next week we're not doing the news on Sunday. We're not doing it on Sunday. Let me actually bring up the time for you. Every time zone. So next week's news is going to be on Friday, and instead of at this late hour, we're going to do it at high noon. So high noon, 12 p.m., whatever your time zone is here, you can take a mental note of it here. I will post it in the Discord again. I apologize that we didn't get it this last time. I ended up getting selected for jury selection, which takes most of the day then. So I was in the courthouse most of the day. I actually got back around like 2:30, I think. But it wasn't enough time to do it. So last Sunday stream, part 2. The second most important thing that I think that we could talk about right now is I have been keeping you guys updated with Voyager 1. You guys know that Voyager 1 has been taken over by aliens and they won't admit it. It started sending back this what we can't understand, but I'm sure it's an alien signal. And that being the case, on the 13th, they released a blog post where they actually got Voyager to respond with something, they got it to respond to a command they sent. Now, an interesting thing here is it takes currently 22 and a half hours for light to travel one way. So you're talking about a round trip is 2 days. You to send a command and then receive something back, you have 2 days of time. So they successfully got information back from this. So this thing they're calling a poke here is basically telling the Voyager to try to do something a little differently, and it at least attempted to. Now it didn't. They haven't fully regained control of it yet. This isn't saying like that anything like that, or they've recovered Voyager 1, but it's a good first step in the correction of Voyager 1. Imagine making a typo on a command and having to wait 2 days. Yeah. Turns out Jitan was submitting patches to NASA. Interesting thing. Did you guys know that Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 were only designed to last 5 years? And they've been going for what, like 40 years at this point? They were only designed to last like 5 years. So the fact that they're still going is amazing. I think we should design a 50 or 100 year satellite to send out. It will probably last 5 years with how that goes. But they weren't designed to last as long as they have. So it's cool. Anyways, we'll move on from that into security. I know that I've been keeping you guys up to date. I keep an eye on our stuff like that. All right. Let's talk about an issue that I think is important for people to understand. So a lot of us use GitHub. A lot of open source uses GitHub. And where's the Voyager now? I didn't update you guys on that part. It's 24 million. I think it's 24 million. No, 24 billion kilometers. About 15 billion freedom units away from us right now in space. Yeah. Anyways. All right. So an interesting hack that, we've talked about social engineering on GitHub and how there's a lot of ways to social engineer something. And there's a new one that I actually think is really sneaky and that I would like to point out and talk about because it's very sneaky. All right. What happens, and I'm going to show you a little example here on a repo that I have, is if you look here, you can add a comment on this pull request, and in this you can attach a file. We can do this test doc and open that and do it and make this a comment. Now, the interesting thing is if we open and look at this link, copy this link, and let's paste it up here. Look at where this is. Well, you know what? I can open this I can post this in Vim to make it a little bit bigger. Let's just ignore all this other stuff here. Check out this. All right. This is the link to that file. The problem with this here is who does this look like it's from? It looks like it's from the Null channel, the Null DB. It looks like it's from me, and it's not. It's not from the Null channel. It's anonymized. Unfortunately, the way it's anonymized is poorly. It should be something like just this would be fine. And this could be a longer GUID. So people are leveraging this by making commits with malicious software attached to them in zips and applying them on Microsoft's repos and things like this. And you're downloading them thinking they're from Microsoft, and they're not. Sorry for the pause. I just read chat. Immediately regret that decision. But moving back onto a serious thing, it's just a issue with how the files are dealt with. So be careful if you see those URLs. Now to give a full credit, I was alerted to this by this post. So I'm going to share a link to this post. How can I share a link? I will share, I think I can just do this, right? Yeah. I can just do this. I'm going to share a link. This is where I found it. So you can check out his work. I saw this, but then I wanted to actually demonstrate it and understand it. So it's just another way of social engineering, which I would say it seems to be one of the more popular ways of hacking at this point. Is nothing to do with hacking. Purely social engineering. So, yeah. All right, well, we can move on. Let's go. Open source developers face a potential social engineering crisis. This was an article that I read. It's been something we've been talking about from Jai Tan to what was it in the College of Minnesota in 2018, I believe it was, when they submitted a post to Linux. A malicious one as a test. Now they made some missteps because they should have alerted a third party or somebody, but they didn't. So it's becoming very prevalent, and then we're talking about all the stuff with GitHub as well, where you can make it look like Microsoft has a file out there that you can download, where it's not actually from Microsoft at all. Linus did ban the university and the people involved. I believe they're back now. He was still very annoyed. It was like a temporary ban. He was still very annoyed. Actually, we could talk about that because Linus is on the last slide of security. So we're going to talk about that. Okay. So the U.S. Supreme Court made a new ruling suggesting that change in a cybersecurity disclosure process. Let's not do dark on this. Okay. There we go. Okay. Maybe it just needs dark. Okay. So in the US, the disclosure, there's been a lot of changes going on about how and when and who you have to disclose to. The decision in the Marquis, I'm not going to pronounce it. Infrastructure versus Moab Partners case gave enterprises the green light to not report incidents that are not material. So basically, this is kind of implied by the SEC rules. The SEC rules basically say that you have to report disclosures in a certain amount of time, only if it's material to your stock price. And I've always claimed that this has a lot of vagary around it, where what disclosures do and don't have a context to your stock price. So I'm hoping that the SEC and some other places actually change their ruling on that, because I don't love the vagary around it. So anyways. Palo Alto Networks. So if you guys use Palo Alto Networks, their firewall has a bug that is under attack. Now, that bug is patched. So it was a 0-day vulnerability that was discovered, and it has been patched. So if you're using Palo Alto, please patch. It turns out you can buy, there's not much more to say. I don't know too much about, like, I couldn't find interesting things about the bug, like if it was, something very interesting or not. So I just know that a lot of people use Palo Alto. So if you do, patch it like you would patch your Ivanti. If you don't daily patch your Ivanti firewalls, you're doing Ivanti firewalls wrong. They require daily patching. All right. Message history of 600 million Discord users can be accessed for $5. This is pretty amazing. Basically, it just goes through. It's not even a hack, which is the cool thing. Basically, it's just a bot that joins Discord server, and it doesn't spam or anything. It just scrapes the messages off of all of the servers. So, yeah. $1 per 100 credits. They can be used up to look up individual users, the servers they are a part of, the connected account, recent messages, and their activity in specific voice channels within a server. I think that I don't know that this is on the communities to stop. I think that this is on Discord. Discord needs to look into how to stop this. There should be common access patterns that they can be data mining for. Yeah, that's pretty terrifying. So I don't know about the changing names inside of Discord because it depends on whether they can get your username or your visible name, because your username doesn't change. You can just change what it looks like, right? My username is a thing, and my display name is Merrick Counts, which is different. All right. The last thing on security here that I wanted to talk about was this. Now, I haven't been able to independently verify this piece of information. Lacework did or does something that I think is actually really cool. It's one of the security things that does kind of what I've always said AI would be really good at for security. They have a system that basically is inside of your server, and they inside of your network, and they look for abnormal things. So they basically do statistical analysis. They would call it machine learning now, but statistical analysis on what happens normally, what's normal and considered normal, and then starts shooting out outliers, things that happen that aren't inside of the norm. And so it makes it so that you don't have to write a whole bunch of rules and guess at what's normal and what's supposed to, while they do support that. Anyways, so it's a very interesting thing. And like I said, I have not been able to independently verify this, but it appears that there is at least rumors that are out there that say that they're going to sell to Wiz. Now, what that price is, I think that this would be insanity. To sell for 150 million to 200 million, because I think they've raised billions of dollars, like 1.8 billion dollars is what I want to say. So basically that would just be 1.3 billion. Oh no, it's raised 1.8 billion. That's what I said. It's raised 1.8 billion. I knew that number. So it's raised a ton of money. So it would be. I have no idea, but we'll see if it actually happens. Like I said, I couldn't independently verify this any other way, so I don't know. This is just the rumor section. The rumor section of the security. Did anybody else see anything in security that we should know about other than rumors? I actually do I got to see a demo of Lacework stuff. Not sponsored. And I think they're pretty expensive, but I thought it was really cool. That's a good point, Russell. That's a good point. They'll cut their ties and get what they can. Yeah. Wiz, the group that are buying it, or maybe buying it, Wiz, they don't have an offering like this. So I think it would actually be pretty cool, the combination of Wiz and Lacework, because I feel like it would build a pretty strong ecosystem there for what they're trying to do. Like I said, Lacework had a lot of gaps in their offering where you want to be able to scan containers or scan your code for, static analysis of it. They didn't have those types of things, whereas Wiz has those. But Wiz didn't have this at runtime, monitor your AI monitoring of your infrastructure, which I thought was really cool. So I think I honestly think it would be a cool matchup, but. I hope Wiz has a clever idea to make it more valuable. Yeah. Agreed. Anything else in security did you guys see that would really affect developers? I guess maybe the Laceworks doesn't, but as much. We can move on to open source. I saw, I saw a couple things. The first thing is SPDX 3.0. So if you guys don't know what SPDX, XPDX is basically the standard for SBOMs from the Linux Foundation. And it's it's published as an ISO standard, and it adheres to the stringent quality requirements set by ISO. So SPDX 3.0 is actually a pretty big update. And so yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about it because it includes the model, the spec, license list, and low-level tools that have been upgraded to meet the evolving demands of the software engineering industry. It actually brings a lot more useful information about that pertains to security and data governance. And so I really actually am pretty excited about it. I'm going to post this for you guys. We could read through if more people are interested in what SPDX is and how to leverage it. We could do some streams on it. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it though. It should hopefully, if adopted well enough, help with software supply chain security. Yeah, so yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. If you guys would like to do a review of SPDX 3.0, we can do a stream next week. I can do a morning stream on SPDX 3.0. Because yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. People will still pin broken versions, sure, but you can SPDX can help you validate. So if you're actually wanting to take it seriously, while you can still do the bad things that you want to do, if you're an enterprise that actually wants to take it seriously, it should enable you to do that. You should be able to have the tools if you want. I'm not saying people won't do bad things still. And that's why you have to go with layers of security. All right. So we had talked a while ago. Red Hat removed publishing its source code, unless you pay for a license. And there was basically two different paths to take. We'll talk about Alma and Rocky. Alma and Rocky kind of diverged. Alma said, hey, we're going to try to be as compatible as possible, but we're going to do our own thing. And Rocky said, we are going to dumpster dive for that source code. We are going to be binary compatible. We are going to, download containers, run licensed versions places, and get that source code to do the thing and be binary compatible. And so, anyways, there just has been a splurge of releases at this point from Rocky Linux. And so like that is the thing going on right now. And talking about that, there was a couple things in this that happened. So Alma Linux 9 prepares to tread where RHEL does not. So the big it has started to diverge slightly from Red Hat with new kernel versions and additional drivers. So basically, instead of being that one-to-one comparable, Alma Linux has started to actually diverge some with some updated drivers and new kernels. So you're starting to see that where the Rocky Linux hasn't. So Rocky Linux is still shooting for that one-to-one compatible. But on top of that, we have a new open source SUSE factory achieves bit-by-bit reproducible builds, which is really interesting because this is something everybody's always trying for in these open source communities, is having perfectly reproducible builds. Like if you run the exact same thing, is all the bits the exact same? And it seems like, last month, OpenSUSE Factory has been producing bit-by-bit reproducible builds. Sans the likes of embedded signatures, of course. So that was really cool. That was really cool. So greater gray hat. Join me. I will post the day before. We'll go over SPDX 3.0. We will review it. We'll do a whole review video. And we'll do it one of these mornings. Probably like 8:30ish on Eastern Standard Time. And we'll review it. We'll save it as a video. It'll be good. So anyways, the bit by bit reproducible builds is really cool. This is something that if you guys know in the community, there's a lot of projects that try to do this whole reproducible build things. And yeah, so anyways, I thought that was cool. I wanted to shout it out. This is the year for reproducible builds. This year it will actually work. It's kind of like this is the last Sunday stream. Sunday will always be my fallback for the news. I'm going to be doing it on Fridays, but Sundays will always be the fallback. So you guys have that. All right. I found this interesting. I haven't actually gotten to see, they haven't published the video of Linus actually talking on this. They usually do 3 or 4 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks afterwards. So I'm going to be looking for the video. This was basically just Linus talking about security, AI, open source, and trust. And I thought it was really relatable. It's a lot of he talked about a lot of the things that I have talked about. And so I know that I don't want to always just inundate you guys with people that agree with me. And I kind of am terrified that Linus agrees with me. And so, yeah, anyways, AI for open source. I thought that this was a really good take. This is kind of my take. So obviously I thought it was a really good take, but it's like, yeah, everybody's doom and gloom, but like, let's see it actually take a job first before we actually, it's like making the tools smarter is not a bad thing. It's good. And so anyways, I liked a lot of his takes. So go read that. If I find the actual video, when I do, yeah. He talked about the XZ util exploits. A really good take that he had from this, which I think is a really good take, is that both the Minnesota test, where Minnesota got a bad patch done, and the XZ utilities were caught exceedingly quickly, way faster than a lot of things in real life has, which actually proves the strength of the open source community and not the weakness of it. So, yeah, anyways, good deal. So let's talk about AI. AI. Everybody's favorite topic. I found something horrifying. Unless there was something else in open source that happened over this week that we should be talking about. Did I miss anything in open source? Russell, SolarWinds was found really quickly too, though. By hackers. That's who found SolarWinds really quickly. No, I think it's actually really important. Like, people will point that this social engineering was happening, but what people that are using that as an argument that are not talking about, social engineering has been happening on not open source for a long time. We're talking about things like phishing. They have a new term called spearing, which is a little different than phishing, but kind of like phishing. They have several different types of phishing. These have been happening to not open source projects for a long time. The GitHub example of making you think it's a file from Microsoft or Google or whatnot by attaching a commit with a malicious package is also not a new thing and not just for open source. So anybody who would, I would say somewhat ignorantly claim that this is only happening to open source, I think would be very, very ignorant in the fact that these type of social engineerings happen everywhere. They happen literally everywhere, on Facebook, on email, wherever you're going. And the fact at the speed of what we've caught, like some of these things haven't even made it into things. So like the Minnesota thing, they got a commit in, but it never got made to a released build. It never made it into release software. The XZ kind of made it into some release stuff, but for the most part didn't make it into stuff. So I think that actually is more of a champion for open source than anything else. Yeah, anyways. Do we have more information on the backdoor used in Apex? Was it actually part of the game, or was it like the game client, or was it previously, like the last I saw, there was no direct evidence that it was the game and not their machines that had been made vulnerable. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. All right, well, that was it for open source. Let's jump into AI. So I'm gonna terrify you guys because I want to know if somebody actually experiences this. Please tell me if you're willing to be interviewed. I'd like to be interviewed. I'm thinking about having this thing interview me live. If I can get it to do it, I'm gonna do it live on stream. I'm gonna do it live on stream. But I saw this. Excited to introduce the first AI interviewer, GPT vetting. With GPT vetting, you can interview 100 times more candidates in less time, and candidates gets a more enjoyable, gamified, and less biased interview experience. You define the skills you want the interviewer to focus on. GPT vetting asks verbal questions and then jumps into coding exercises. Do you guys want to do this week? Do you want me to do that? Do you want me to interview myself with GPT vetting? I'm gonna see if I can't do it. Like they say, it can be done for free. So I think I might interview myself. This sounds absolutely horrible. It sounds absolutely horrible. So I think I'm gonna have GPT vetting to interview me live. I feel like it could get so abused. Like, I feel like the AI vetting could be like so abused because it's statistical analysis. And so if you understand the statistics that it's looking for, I feel like it could get super abused. You know, like some weird thing, like it really likes people who say please a lot. Like maybe, you know, like if you're overly polite, it puts your marks up or something like that. So if you're just like, oh, yes, please, thank you so much. I really appreciate my, like, just like super. Anyways, we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do GPT vetting live. And you can watch me fail. You can watch me fail my own interview. Oh gosh. Okay, so we'll do that. I'm gonna put that really quickly on our notes of things to do. I thought you guys might like watching that. So we'll do it. Let's see. I'm not gonna share all this. I'm not gonna share all this. That was the wrong vault. Anyways, we're gonna put this under live learning. All right. GPT vetting. I'm gonna try to do that one this week sometime. We'll try to do GPT vetting sometime this week. The week after is a busy week for me, so big stream. May 3rd. Big stream. All right, let's get back to the news. We had other stuff come up. It wasn't all as terrifying as GPT vetting. Yeah. So we'll do some fun stuff. So with the GPT vetting, we'll do some fun stuff depending on how many times for free and how much it costs. What I'll do is we'll do some where we actually try to just take the interview as normal, and then we'll do some where we actually try to hack the interview. I think that's what we'll try to do and just play around with it, see how it does. I think that will be fun. All right, so as some of you already guessed, introducing Meta Llama 3, the most capable, openly available LLM to date. Now, this is not open source per the definition, but it is open for you to use without paying them. So it's pretty open. I do believe if you make more than like 10 million, there's some point, maybe they took that restrictions off. There was some restriction, but they might have taken that restriction off. Anyways, per the statistics, Llama 3 is amazing. Now, again, I've shown you guys time and time again, statistics mean very little with these things, where you have some that outperform GPT on some of the tests and statistics, but aren't nearly as good as you might expect. So statistics with these things aren't everything. Now, that being said, they look to outperform Claude 3, Gemini, as well as GPT-4 in evaluations on different benchmarks. So it seems to be very good. You're running Llama 3. How do you do that with the GPT? Like, how do you run Llama 3? Because, like, their smallest data set is still massive, right? I would love to run Llama 3 locally because I'd love to power our Twitch alerts and other AI stuff by something we run locally. So maybe we'll make that another stream. 70 billion isn't that big, but you have to fit it on your GPU. It's still like 24 gigs of memory. We can actually calculate it. That's a fun thing. You can actually take the parameter set and the size of the parameters and actually calculate how much memory you need. I only have a single GPU. Anyways, we'll talk about it. Now, one thing that they stated here is that they said that it was going to be available very soon in the different clouds. And I was like, oh, I wonder how long that... They've obviously been working with the other clouds, because if you go and check out the other clouds, Meta 3 Llama is available on Cloudflare. Meta 3 Llama is available on AWS. I found it on every single one except Azure as of yesterday. Every single cloud had Llama 3. And, you know, I bet you Azure has it as of today. Azure. So they did actually, yep. Azure has it too now. Okay. They actually did a really good job. Like, we're talking day after the announcement of Llama 3, almost every single major cloud had the ability to run Llama 3. So I was actually really impressed with that. I don't know if anybody else did, but like, the release of Llama 3 was really well executed, in my opinion. What are you guys? 1 second. I catching up with chat. All right, we're gonna run Llama 3 locally. We're gonna run Llama 3 locally. We're gonna run our own Llama 3. Yeah, we'll do it. Not this week or next week. Maybe the week after. I'll have time the week after. All right. One of the more interesting things here was Microsoft Copilot app is quietly being installed on Windows. Now, Microsoft has a history of lack of trust for good reason. And so people are kind of upset because they think that they're going to be stealing their data off of Edge and stealing their data. Because Microsoft released an Edge update that was leading to out-of-memory errors, even on systems with more than sufficient amount of system RAM, and was later... it was dying on a Defender feature that was causing the OOM. So yeah, there's a little bit of lack of trust with this AI feature. I think actually this is probably the biggest thing that AI companies have set themselves up for, is they have abused this. 1 second. Can you stop? Thank you. I think somebody was trying to find their phone. I don't know if you guys could find it, but they left it down here. I could find their phone. Sorry. Anyways, AI companies have abused data, and they have defended abusing data, which has been one of my complaints, where OpenAI's Sam Altman said they'd never be able to do what they did without stealing the data that they stole. And that was their defense for taking news articles and stuff, which was a terrible defense, but it was also... It also set everybody on edge with AI is out there to steal your data. So even if it's not, now people are on edge. They see something with AI on their computer. So they see something. There's no evidence that it takes your data at all, but everybody is convinced that it takes your data now, which the AI community has set themselves up for because they have been so bad about stealing data. All right, I'm going to run through the rest of this because I have only 1 minute before a forced ad. I've been delaying the ad. All right, Microsoft. Okay. Oh, that was actually. We have only 2 things. Microsoft's AI Copilot is starting to automate the industry. I want to talk about this. We'll wait till after the break. I tried this Udio music and it was pretty terrible in my opinion. It sounded like just like really close to other stuff, but not quite the same. I didn't have a whole lot of success with it, but it was also released. It's like an AI music thing. And we have 15 seconds. I'm sorry, I was kind of rushing. That ad. I've been pressing the snooze button. I'm just running the ad now. See you guys in 3 minutes. I'm sorry. Linux desktop will win within the decade. That's an interesting take. I think that is every decade that gets said. And the Linux desktop has some major problems. Make a track in the ad break? Sure. Let's do it. Let me sign in. All right. A super awesome song about Null. That should we make it like a national anthem? That sounds like a national anthem. So is this what our stream music going to be? Should we generate all of our own stream music? That's what we should do now. It'll be the worst stream music out there. Can we generate this before our ad break is up? Anthem of the Void. I said null. I said null. Good sir. If you have the word void in there, I'm going to be very upset. Very upset. It's 33 seconds. That's not a national anthem. I know. I know. What? It's a small nation. Oh, that was a good burn, Russell. Okay, so taking Twitch alerts next level. Serious note here. Taking Twitch alerts next level. What we need is your Twitch alert sound is custom generated. The image is custom generated. The message is custom generated. All into one beautiful follow message that costs me like $2. Yep. The second one is okay. So back to the news. Back to the news. There is a new AI that will generate you some music. Now, it obviously a super awesome song about Null sounds like a national anthem didn't work very well. Let's just do this. Let's just do Null national anthem. Because these did not sound very national anthem-y to me. Anyways, there is a new music service out there for you to create, I'm going to put it in quotes, music. Now, I know that music means a lot of different things to different people. In my opinion, this is music. Anthem of the Heart, Anthem of Unity. No, it has issues understanding basic terms. Okay, so let's get back to the news, though. Let's get back to the news. Listening to this wonderful music. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we can square dance to this. I am not very good at AIs. That's actually the problem. I'm not very good at AIs. All right. The last piece of news that I wanted to bring up and talk about in AI was the fact of the misleading statements and how to beware of them and how to look for them. And this goes for anything, but it happens with AI pretty consistently. And I'll see articles like this. Microsoft AI Copilot is starting to automate the coding industry. And we've talked about it. We've looked over different research papers where they're like, hey, AI found this brand new material. And then if you actually read it, you'll find out that there was a team of researchers that used an AI, a statistical analysis machine, to help them discover something new. They fed it prompts, they fed it ideas, they massaged the data, they helped use it to discover something. And so when you dig into it, it's not nearly as bombastic as the headline would say. So you see stuff like this. Microsoft AI Copilot is starting to automate the coding industry. You don't even have to validate their sources. If you actually just read with a critical eye, you can understand how this doesn't even make sense. Along the way, Copilot is gradually revolutionizing the working lives of software engineers. The first professional cohort to use generative AI in masses. Microsoft's Copilot has attracted 1.3 million customers so far, including 50,000 businesses, ranging from small startups to corporates like Goldman Sachs, Ford, and Earnhardt and Young. Engineers say Copilot saves them hundreds of hours a month by handling tedious and repetitive. Look, okay, saves them hundreds of hours a month. I doubt you find many engineers that say it saves them hundreds of hours a month. It does handle tedious and repetitive tasks fairly well, and I like it for that. But saying it has already, the take is starting to automate the coding industry. Now, I would have also said that things like autocomplete have saved me time. Autocomplete does save me time, and that came around a long time ago. And almost every engineer uses an LSM and you can thank Microsoft for LSMs. I don't know if you guys realize that, but you can. Uses an LSM or the likes that can give you some sort of autocomplete. And so just because there are 50,000 businesses that use this, it doesn't mean that it's automating the industry. It's a really good autocomplete. And so, yeah, people use it because it's a really good autocomplete. That this has nothing about how you can like continue on. It has nothing about it automating away the industry, because automating away means the engineer didn't have to do it. Everything that it talks about in this is an engineer doing something and speeding it up, which maybe it does, but it's much different than the title. So anyways, that was kind of my last thing that it kind of annoys me, because I try to bring you guys stuff, and I hate bringing stuff like this, because like it has some interesting statistics. And if I could get, this was in the Stack Overflow 2023 developer survey, and we went over that. And there are like 50% of engineers that said that they use one of these tools, and that's fine, and that's great. But yeah. Good morning. How's everyone? And thanks for the follow. So, I actually, and I have stood by this, I don't think that if you're a junior software engineer, you should use coding AI. I think maybe I should make that like a more formal discussion in the future. Anyways. I think because something that Gray had, I don't know that code completion makes your code worse. Or doesn't have to if you use it responsibly. But I do think that it could stop you from learning because you just don't know the things that it's telling you to do. But yeah, that's a bigger discussion. All right, so let's jump into the cloud news. Biggest piece of cloud news right now. LSP's suggestion showing the available methods and their documentation is super useful. 100%. It's very nice. Oh, you're saying it makes yours better, Gray Hat? That's fine. That's fine. I don't think it makes my code worse. I don't think that a junior engineer should leverage it because it requires a certain amount of knowledge. But all right. So let's jump into the cloud news. We have some interesting stuff that I found. The first thing is the Null Cloud is getting closer. It is getting closer. We fixed sign-in. There is an API issue, so you can't actually submit your name and stuff on registration, but it is getting super close to you being able to actually log in and use it. So that's kind of cool. And that's been a lot of work from myself and Monta, And I actually have a stream this week, another morning stream that we're going to do. I'm going to talk about why the Null Cloud, what we're doing, and some of the things we hope to learn from it. That way, because a lot of people keep asking, and so we're going to cover that. But yeah, it's getting there. This is actually it running in production after you click the sign in button, by the way. Okay, so real cloud news that actually probably matters. Broadcom throws VMware customers a perpetual license, a lifeline. So basically, there was a long thing about Broadcom basically killed the perpetual licenses of VMware. And in a Monday post, Broadcom CEO Hock Tan restated his belief that VMware portfolio was too complex and too poorly integrated. So Broadcom basically, okay, blah, 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 blah. He also admitted that customers aren't enjoying the ride as they roll out the new strategy. So he's thrown a little bit of a bone to try to keep people from just flocking away from it. This is after Broadcom. So Broadcom killed the perpetual license that many people had, and they're taking some steps back from that. So they're announcing free access to 0-day security patches for supported versions of vSphere, and they'll add other VMware products over time. So there was a little bit of goodwill hopefully earned by this, but there has been so much goodwill lost that I think it will still be a long time. It's been a painful process for Broadcom. It's them trying to stop an exodus, 100% Russell. It's the enterprise version of the Unity. Yeah. Yep. They have caused a huge panic. There's tons of people that are looking at other things. Basically, this was a massive rug pull. Thank you so much for the raid. Look at that. The party and the Null Party joined against a common enemy called the lack of awareness of the news. Hello, Raiders. How are you guys doing? We are covering the news right now. What were you guys working on? Code Berrybee. Let's give you a shout out. Unreal Engine, Fortnite map making. Oh, cool. I'm not nearly as interesting. Thank you for the follow. I do I do Go and Rust and Kubernetes. And on Sundays. Now, normally it's on Fridays. Sundays is my day if I can't do Friday at noon for lunch. I cover the news that's happened in software engineering. We've covered security. We've covered open source and the AI ML news, and we're on to our last section, which is cloud news. Well, I love Unreal Engine. I do like it probably more than I should. I'm not very good at it. Not very good at game design, but we'll have to check out your stream sometime. All right. Well, we'll get back to the news as we were going. Let's talk about what happened in Google Cloud. Now, we covered the big announcements from Google Clouds last week at their next event, and a lot of those were about AI, but there were some other things that came out that I found over the last week that I thought I'd make you guys aware of. If you guys are using GKE, their Google Kubernetes engine, the Workload Identity Federation has been released. I think that this is a huge deal. Or not a huge deal, but a huge improvement to IAM workload identities on a GKE. It used to be a mess and required several extra steps, and this simplifies all of it. It's still more difficult than it should be, but it simplifies a lot of it. So definitely check it out if you're using the Google Kubernetes engine. We talked about this a little bit. We talked about how Gemini was now in BigQuery, Bigtable. It was now in Bigtable, but it goes beyond that. Generate an SQL query. You can actually get Gemini to help you generate a SQL query. So you can basically write almost natural English and get it to generate a query for you, which is pretty cool. I think this is going to be more helpful for data miners or some people that aren't necessarily used to writing SQL queries, because honestly, for me to come up with this, I would probably think of this anyways. But it might be useful for some people generating some more complicated queries. I'd be interested in seeing how well it works. Cloud Quotas API in Google Cloud have been released and allows you to programmatically adjust quotas. Now, I talked about this when it was in private beta and has now been released as GA. Basically, Google Cloud Quotas have been a mess. Let me tell you, they have been a mess. I have a lot of experience from them, and they're not nearly as well thought out as, I'm not going to say well thought out as AWS's, because AWS's are a little bit of a mess as well, but they're worse than AWS, which is actually saying something. I don't have experience with Azure as much, so I can't really compare, but this at least allows you to now programmatically adjust these quotas, allowing you to handle when you do like infrastructure as a service. So if you're building something like a database as a service or anything as a service, there's always this thing of needing to maintain and manage your quotas, and making a powerful API for it is amazing, because it allows you to alert and see things and build your own integration into it, which is pretty awesome. 100% is going to be useful for product owners. All right, let's see. That was it. This tab shouldn't have existed. My bad. Let's move on to Azure. Azure had 3 updates I thought worthy of telling you guys. Announcing updates to Azure AI Search to help organizations build and scale generative AI applications. So this kind of came out in response to some of the stuff that came out from Google Next stuff. But there was some updates to the AI search handling of RAG workloads. So this is, their augmented retrieval, basically keeping AIs from hallucinating. We've talked about RAG a little bit and what it does. But yeah, the big highlights here are an 11 times increase in vector index size, 6 times increase in total storage, and 2 times improvement in indexing and query throughput. So there was just some pretty basic updates to the stability of their index search. So if you're using it, those have been released. All right, Azure Advisor will no longer display aggregated potential yearly savings beginning September 30th. So if you've been leveraging Azure Advisor, you're going to have to be moving off of it. I know I don't know Azure very well, so this I bring up the deprecations more than anything else, because there are things that I know people will need to deal with, and this is one of them. It's not a big deal. They have their other service for they have a different service for it now. And so they're basically just shutting this one down. It seems like it shouldn't be that bad, but every change that seems like it shouldn't be that bad obviously always is terrible. So have fun. And the last thing was App Service Environment version 1 and 2 versions will be retired on the 31st of August, 2024. So that's not actually that far away. So if you're using App Service version 1 and 2, it is time to update to the App Service Environment v3. Because you only have a few months left. So if you're still on those, you need to make plans now. I don't know how big of a lift and shift. I don't use this service. I'm just letting you guys know that it exists. You need to be doing it. I don't know how more difficult, but they say that you could save up to 55%. So that sounds pretty good to me. This one, you guys are already on with a migration. Good. That's awesome. Awesome. Hopefully this is helpful to people. Maybe bringing these up. This is something I've always struggled with. Things like this, probably the people that use app service environment versions probably already know these things because like you're using it. So I don't know if covering these things are actually useful or not. Let me know if you guys like that I go over the deprecations of these things. The big ones that I see, it's something that as in my job, I'm always looking out for these for my teams so that we know when things are getting deprecated, when we need to move, when we need to update, and making sure those are getting planned in our plan. So yeah, I always find it useful, but yeah. Absolutely. And if we bring these things up and talk about them, or if I miss one and you guys saw a big one coming up, let's talk about it and post in the comments of how much work it is. Let others know if you've done this and it sucked. Because yeah, we can't really help you, but we can cry with you. All right, and then there's Cloudflare released a couple stuff. They had their week of actually, let's do this in different order. This one, Developer Week 2024 wrapped up. So I'm going to post this. There was a bunch of stuff that came out of the Developer Week for Cloudflare. If you guys are following Cloudflare or use Cloudflare, there was a bunch of stuff from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I'm not going to go over everything that was released. Some of these things were just talking about how they were doing stuff like building D1's global database. There were some things that were releasing different things or how to do stuff. So I would go through and look through this. The one thing that I pulled out that I think affects most engineers generically in general is improving the authoritative DNS with official release of Foundation DNS. So they're very excited to announce the official release of Foundation DNS with new advanced name servers, even more resilience, and advanced analytics to meet the complex requirements of your enterprise customers. So if you were looking for a authoritative DNS, you've come to the right place. Foundation DNS is now released. So it is a premium DNS service. So it does mean that unlike their free DNS service, you have to pay for this. But if you need it, it's something you can't get a whole lot of other places. Are we going to need a Cloudflare video? Let's do a Cloudflare video. I'm going to do, like I said, instead of making like formal long form videos, I think a lot of the tech community does these live videos. And so if you guys would like a Cloudflare video, let's do a Cloudflare video. Now there's a couple Cloudflare videos that we can do. Foundation DNS, and what an authoritative DNS is, what it is, why it matters. Another one is how I do the Null Cloud. So we all know that I have the Null Cloud over here, Null Cloud, where you can, it's wanting me to complete my registration because I am signed in, but anyways, this right here runs from our home lab, but you can't actually find my IP address through this, which is pretty cool. And we do that with Cloudflare. So Cloudflare host tunneling. So I already have the Null Cloud. We're going to be doing the Null Cloud this week. So I'm going to be doing a video on the Null Cloud. So what I'm planning on doing going forward is I have a channel that I haven't been really keeping up with called the Null Bytes. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making these live videos, and we're just going to post those the day after on the Null Bytes. So if you miss one of these live videos, it's okay. You can go to the Null Bytes. Actually, if you just do YouTube, you can see my YouTube videos. And you'll notice that I haven't been posting a whole lot to the Null Bytes. And that's because, I was like putting the news on there. But that doesn't really make sense because the news is saved on the Null Labs Live. So if you're looking for a past stream and you want to watch the whole stream, which the news is just about the stream, then there's no reason to cut it. And it seems like a waste of my time. The Null Labs, I put long form and now some funny videos on there as well. And the Null Bytes is what I'm going to be putting these. So my plan is to do some 2 or 3 of these shorter videos and make like an 1.5 hour, 2-hour stream out of it, and then cut them up into their individual videos and post them on the Null Bytes. There you can see in chat. So the Null Cloud, why I'm doing it, what I'm doing is going to be one. And then the cool thing is what I'm going to be doing, like a problem that we have that just came up. So Monta and I just came up with an issue with the Null Cloud with how we're routing. And what we're going to do is when we figure it out, and I do some of this stuff live on stream anyways, but when we figure it out, we'll make a short video because the whole point of the Null Cloud is learning. We'll make a short video just describing what we learned from that experience. How did we solve the problem? What was the problem? Why did we have the problem? Because this actually has to do with routing of network traffic through a Kubernetes cluster and handling unknown routes in the future. It's kind of an interesting problem not everybody has had to solve, and Istio is going to force us to do it one way or another. Do we still use Istio? I don't know. I don't know the issue. I don't know the solution that we decide to go down in the future to solve this problem yet. We haven't solved the problem yet, but it will be one of the Null Bytes that we make afterwards. Is once we do fix the feature live on stream, we'll go back and make a Null Byte of it. So I'm not going to clip the news segments because unless if there's like a half an hour thing that's kind of part of the news, but also a clippable thing, I'm not going to be clipping those because those are the news and they're already on Null Labs Live. So you can watch any of the past live streams there. Twitch only guarantees 14 days. So that's why I have the live stream on YouTube. Obviously, you can watch on YouTube as well, but one of the reasons I also multi-stream to YouTube is the fact that they'll save the video indefinitely for you to watch if you miss something that you really want to. May 3rd is a video a day. I'm going to be stream for 12 hours, and I have a bunch of people to interview and do stuff around databases. Hopefully, we learn a lot. So please join on May 3rd. It will be my first sponsored stream. It's sponsored, but I reached out to the people, just so you guys know, from an ethics point of view. I reached out to the people and said, hey, I'd like to work with you guys because I'd like to do this. Which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's not May 4th. It's not May 4th. So we can say the May the 4th jokes. What sounds hairy? The fact that they're paying for my plane ticket, because that's all the pay I get is my plane ticket. I don't actually make money off of it. So. Oh, the off by one ticket. Yeah, I was going to say. It's a sponsored stream. They're paying for my flight. So I will treat it as such. And because of that, I will give them a big shout out on the stream. So yeah, but I don't actually make money off of it, just so we're clear. Oh, the DNS thing in the Null Cloud sounds hairy. Well, it is hairy. That's actually the problem. I don't have a clear fix to it, but this is why I wanted to make a cloud. This problem actually is the perfect example. It's interesting because every person that joins the Null Cloud, let me draw this for you guys. This is like super interesting, and this is what I love because this isn't the thing that you think about every single day. Every person that joins the Null Cloud, so this is the Null Cloud right here. Every person that joins gets their own route to their application. So if you have an application here, your app. And then, you know what? This is going to be my app. And this is going to be Tom's app. Tom's a great guy. Tom's app. They have to come in and have segregated network. So we have to be able to make sure that their network traffic can't intermingle. And on top of that, we have to be able to route their traffic to their thing. So, you know, this is all your app. Your app has a lot of traffic. My app only has a little bit of traffic. And Tom's app, Tom just gets a ton of traffic. Let me tell you about Tom's app. And so not only, you know, maybe Tom's app, like the idea here is like the network has to be not intermingle. So that being said, like this app can't access this app. This is a no-go. But also we have to be able to punch a hole through our firewall and everything for valid HTTP traffic to make it through to Tom's app or whatever type of traffic they want to configure. Whatever is valid for their application. So anyways, this is the problem that we're kind of up against. So basically what happens in the Null cloud right now is you can fill this out and click submit, and the firewall fails and blocks you from hitting the API that this is submitting to. So kind of a hilariously bad fail. It doesn't happen when testing locally because we bypass the firewall rules. So yeah. Tom from MySpace. Anyways, like that's the problem. But the cool thing is we're going to get to resolve this, and then we're going to get to make a null byte. We're going to spend days writing up the solution for this and fixing it. And then we're going to do a quick 15-minute video that's just a recap. So if you were there for all the streams, maybe you already know how we fixed it. Maybe not, but it's going to be a learning experience. We're going to get to expand on it and talk about how we figured it out, how we dealt with it. And yeah. Anyways, that's kind of the plan. We're going to do a few of those this week. I have a few planned that we're going to do. I will let you guys know the day before on Discord in the live stream channel, and I'll make an announcement when I go live. The other thing that I would like to tell you guys, but the next week after that, I'm going to be flying out to California. So the next week there'll be no null bytes. I'll probably have my Tuesday stream, but you know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm going to be in California. Saturday, I'll be flying back, so no Saturday stream on May the 4th. So no streams on those days because May 3rd, I'm going to be streaming for 12 hours. So there's going to be enough merit content for the week. We're going to make some null bytes out of some of the stuff that comes out of the 12 hours because we're going to be learning about database indexes, consensus, and a bunch of other stuff. So there'll be a lot of null bytes to come out of it. So, all right, that's it for the news for today. Let's find somebody to raid. Let's see if there's somebody else going over the news. Let's see, Twitch. Let me look it up. Let's see. I don't see any of the people that I was following. Is there somebody that deserves our raid in the software and game development? Brilliant TypeScript. Okay, we all need to learn. I need to learn TypeScript better. I need to learn TypeScript better. Okay, so we're going to raid this Casper person. All right. Sounds good. I like it. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. See you on Friday for the news next week.
Thing. That'd be so nice.
Sweet.
If there was one.